Hey everyone, Caleb with Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with Find Your Niche, or in this case, Find Your Antique Book Niche. So, as I'm sure you know, there's a lot of niches out there, or niches, however you want to pronounce it, for your eBay business. Some people go and start just selling just shoes. Some people do clothes. Some people do video games, board games, all those sorts of things. For me, and a lot of people that I know and follow, they do books. And I had a lot of luck with books. I mean, they have a lot of luck with books, but the thing is, there's just a lot of books out there, and when there's a lot of books out there, there's a lot of booksellers out there. And when that happens, that's a lot of people competing for the same books, for the same prices, all that sort of stuff, which makes the prices go down, 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 down. And as the prices get squished tighter and tighter, your profits also get squished smaller and smaller. And for me, I was like, well, I don't really want to make $2 for a book. That's not a lot of money. I don't want to make 5 cents for a book. That's not a lot of money. I mean, even like $10 profit for a book, it's like, that's not much. That's not very exciting. So for me, I was like, I want to find something else. I want to find a greener pasture without more people. You know, the whole blue ocean strategy thing. You got to find somewhere that doesn't have a lot of people competing with you, you know? You got to find something that doesn't have all the competition, because then you can ask for a higher price. You can be the only person, and all these other great benefits of being the only person providing something. So for me, I would go to these book sales, like the Friends of the Library book sales, and I'd be looking at all the stuff that everyone's getting, and all these people would be getting like nonfiction, let's just say for business, nonfiction for medical. They'd get textbooks. You'd have the people that get all the fiction books. You'd have some people that go and get all the mass market books. And there was a lot of competition for all those things. And on top of that, I would see that all these people, I'd scan these books as they were scanning, and I'd be like, well, the prices aren't very big on these. That's not very exciting. So for me, I ended up looking, and I'm like, oh, there's not a lot of people looking at, for me, not a lot of people looking at the kids' books. There's not a lot of people looking at the Christian nonfiction. There's not a lot of people looking at the antique books. So I, just being the little entrepreneur I am, you know, I go on over to the children's books. I go through all those. I'm looking them up, pulling comps on eBay, all that sort of stuff, because I ran Amazon and Amazon FBA and eBay at the same time. So I was having fun doing both those, trying to figure it out. And eventually I saw, well, there's just not enough money in Amazon FBA anymore. So I ended up shuttering that business. And I found out, after going through all those children's books, after going through all the Christian nonfiction, after going through all the antique books, I found out that the antique books had the highest revenue that I could get, and highest profits. And a lot of the times people don't buy those. So when I go to these different book sales, like estate sales, Goodwill Outlet, all these places, I can normally be the only person looking for these things. And on top of that, at a lot of these places, I can actually negotiate people down on the prices too. So like if I am only making $30 profit on a book, I can talk them down $1 on the price, and I can make even more money, which is pretty stinking cool. So I really had fun doing all of that, and as time went on, I ended up focusing more and more and more on just antique books. I still do a couple children's books here and there. There's not a whole lot of money for me in it, but I do it sometimes, especially if it's an antique children's book, because those tend to do pretty well for me. Don't know why, don't know how. That's just sort of how it works. I guess it's just I have the antique touch, but it's definitely not something that you guys can't learn, because antiques are like really simple. I mean, I understand there's a lot of art form to it, but at the end of the day, if you're buying a book for $1 and it's 100 years old, you're going to be able to sell it for more than $1. Like, it's basically built-in profit if you're buying an antique book. So that's sort of where this goes in for all you peoples, because it's like, oh wow, this is so accessible, and it sounds so daunting at first. It's like, oh, antique books, I don't know if I can do that. But it's like, anyone can. It's really easy. It's surprising. And I mean, so long as you got your phone and you can pull up eBay, it's like, makes it even easier. So it's really cool. And as you do it, you learn more, you know what to look for. It gets really fun and really cool. And I go over that in the rest of my channel, but you guys can learn more if you want to do that. But at the end of the day, it's a really cool niche. And for me, I've made a whole lot of money doing antique books. And of course, there are other things that you can do, but for me, antique books is my thing. I've had a whole lot of luck with that. I don't just do antique books. As I mentioned earlier, I do still do some children's books. I do some newer books that are like fiction, because sometimes they sell pretty well. Basically, it's only if it really draws my attention. And I have a great luck with sets of books that are newer, but all that's for a different video, different time. So I'm not going to bore you guys with all that. So at the end of the day, back to the find your niche. For me, I found my niche very naturally. I went to all these different sales. I saw what everyone else was going after. I saw the prices for all these things. And all that was very daunting. It was just giant obstacles to my business. So I was like, what can I find? And I found antique books was my thing. You guys, where you live, it might not be your thing. You might not even be able to find antique books. For me, I don't go for books that are older than 1960 is what I like to like keep it below. 1940 is preferable, like 1940 and older is really what I try to shoot for. But it doesn't always happen. Sometimes I have to fudge my numbers. Sometimes I have to do this and this and this. Sometimes I can't hit my certain profit margin per book that I want to hit. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff. I don't really do all my stuff set in stone because, I mean, it doesn't always work like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got to find what works for you, what you're willing to do. If you're going to fudge the numbers a little bit, you got to make sure that you're not doing it to the point that you're like killing your profits and just totally ruining your own business. But you have to like know what you're willing to do and what you're willing to work with. So it's a really cool business. I love my antique book business. I mean, it's really exciting for me. It's fulfilling. I love saving history from garbage dumps and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure a lot of people that are book people like me love doing it too. But it's not just that. I make really good money doing it. For me, my average profit margin that I try to shoot for, like at the bottom, is like at least $20 profit for one book. And that's pretty stinking good. I mean, $20 profit, that's pretty good. But that's not saying that's all I make. I mean, I have sold some individual books that I paid $2 for. I've sold one of them for $1,600. I've sold another one that I paid $2 for $600, another for $800, all that sort of stuff. You can get really high prices on these books. And I actually ended up undercharging for all those books just because I wanted to sell them. And I was like, I paid $2. I mean, a 2,000% profit. That's pretty good. So really, you got to do what you are willing to do, all that sort of stuff, and find your niche, find what works for you, find what really makes you feel empowered and happy. Because, I mean, you know all those people that do their everything eBay stores, it's like you don't really see them passionate about it. And yeah, they might make a lot of money. I mean, they're 5 cents here, 5 cents there, $1 here, $1 there. It definitely stacks up and you're happy because you get the money. But like for me, I don't sell quite as many books as I did when I did Amazon FBA, but man, I feel so much happier doing it. And I've actually caught up to where I did make my Amazon FBA money. And that was really cool too, because I'm finally like getting similar numbers of profits, but I'm not paying as many fees. I'm doing a lot cooler stuff. I have something that's a lot more fun to talk about. I mean, if you just tell someone that you scan books, it's like whoop-de-doo. But if you're like, yeah, I sell antique books and this one that I have is this old and da-da-da-da-da, that's a lot more exciting to talk about too. I mean, you can get a passion for antique books. I know it's really nerdy to think about, but it's really something you can get passionate about. So I really encourage you guys to go, if you're a bookseller or eBay seller or anything like that, go to your different estate sales nearby. Look at what everyone else is looking at. Okay, are you doing those things? Well, maybe it's time that you might want to pivot, because if everyone else is doing it, that means there's a lot of competition. That means everyone's buying out all those things and leaving you just scraps. There's a lot of stuff that just, it's like, oh, that's a lot of competition. So I encourage you guys to maybe just spend one weekend even and look at what everyone else is looking at and then go somewhere else. So maybe everyone else is looking at the couches and the TVs and all that sort of stuff, and maybe the person has a sewing kit. Maybe you can find money in a sewing kit. I don't personally know that, but maybe it's something that you can find. Maybe antique books like what I do, maybe all these other sorts of things. So basically, you guys just got to find your niche, find what works for you, find what works in your area, and if you do it right, you can make a lot of money doing so. So I hope that really helps you guys. I encourage you guys to check out one of the videos in the sides or subscribe wherever that is. And I would love to see you guys in another video, and I'll catch you guys then.